So apparently we're all lonely. We're all in the great friendship recession. 2 years ago, I made a video titled, I Have No Friends. I talked about the loneliness epidemic and the video blew up. It has over 300,000 views and thousands of people commented that they also feel lonely. They feel like they don't have meaningful friendships, family, community, that they don't have someone to call when they're having a bad day or someone to help them move or someone to just hang out with on a Friday night. So since I made that video, has the vibe changed? No. 2 years later and every day I still get views, comments, DMs from people who are secretly telling me that they also feel lonely and sad and isolated. So first of all, if you can relate to this, know you're not alone. When I posted that video, I thought I understood friendship and the loneliness epidemic, but I was totally wrong, and what I've learned since has totally changed the way that I connect with people. So today I'm gonna unpack the lessons that really matter, share what actually worked for me, and give you practical ways to feel more connected. I'll be answering questions like, if loneliness is so universal and common, why does it feel like it's a personal failure, like something only you're going through? Why is it that we live in the most connected time in human history and we still feel so alone? And since it's such a taboo, hush-hush, invisible problem, how are we actually going to diagnose and treat it? What's the solution? Let's get into it. There's a reason it's called the loneliness epidemic. It's affecting people's health and happiness at alarming rates. People are craving connection more than ever. I see so many women anonymously commenting on TikTok and Reddit that when they get married, they're sad and ashamed that they don't have anyone to call their bridesmaid. There's also a rise in people who have strained or no relationship with their family. There's also a rise in older people who are posting Facebook ads and even paying people to just take a walk with them or be their companion for a day. And why is this? There are so many reasons that people feel lonely these days. Maybe you don't have friends, or maybe you have surface level relationships but you crave something deeper, or you have social anxiety or introverted and it's hard to start conversations. Especially with social media, it's so easy to go days liking posts and commenting slay and heart eye emojis and feeling like you're connecting with people, but really you've been bed rotting and haven't talked to anyone in days. It's like an invisible plague that's not so invisible. I see it everywhere. On crowded trains where no one looks up. At restaurants where couples sit right across from each other but are silently scrolling on their phone. In offices where people sit side by side for 8 hours straight and don't talk. But if it's so common and universal, why do you feel like you're the only one going through it? Because loneliness is what I call a silent struggle. People are silently suffering but are ashamed to talk about it because they feel like it makes them look weird or there must be something wrong with them. And I've learned so much about friendships and loneliness over the past 2 years. So let's get into the lessons. The first lesson I've learned since posting that video is bad news. It's actually not about making friends. You can have friends and still be lonely and still feel invisible and not connected. I think a good analogy is dating. You can go on a date and the person can be super pleasant and nice and respectful, but you might just not feel a bond with them, and that's okay. And I think that's what a lot of people are feeling in friendships. They're not necessarily craving a huge friend group, they're craving a deeper connection. Even people who have large friend groups and are always going on vacation with their friends or have thousands of followers and getting comments on their posts all the time still feel this way. Which brings me to lesson number 2. Social media is really giving us a warped perspective on relationships and friendships. We're all seeing the same stuff. You open Instagram and we're seeing people go on vacation with their family or go to the club with their friends or go to the movies with their boyfriend, and we're like, oh, I'm just bed rotting on a Friday night and are not doing those things. I will say this till I'm blue in the face. It's gonna be written on my tombstone. You cannot trust what you see on social media. You're not seeing the full story behind that picture. You're just seeing the highlight reel of people smiling and hugging and bonding. I myself have posted pictures smiling and dancing with friends, but those same people I couldn't call if I actually needed something. I've seen some of my friends go on vacation with a large friend group and they're posting pictures and I'm sitting at home getting FOMO thinking, oh, they're having so much fun. And then I get text messages on the side, on the low, from people on that trip saying that they aren't really having a good time or that they don't feel connected to the people on the trip. Yo, our parents were right. It'd really be that damn phone. Moving on to lesson number 3. Even if you don't have a friend, family, or a community, don't fret, I do have some good news for you. Little tiny daily interactions with strangers can actually help more than you might think. A 2023 study found that even brief casual interactions like saying hi to a stranger on the street, chatting with your barista or a neighbor can boost well-being and create a greater sense of belonging. In fact, people who reported a lot of those tiny interactions with acquaintances, coworkers, strangers actually often felt happier and more satisfied than those who only had those close friend and family interactions. So I know a lot of people are waiting to find their tribe, that best friend, that support group, but it's not so black and white. You should go through your day carrying yourself with open energy and be open and willing to talk to strangers, say hi to your neighbor, chat with your barista. If you see someone walking their dog, ask to pet their dog. I know what you're gonna say. What if I have social anxiety? What if it's hard to just start a conversation with a stranger or a barista? You compliment them. You compliment them. That's the hack. Trust me, it's so much easier to approach someone and be like, oh, I see that you're wearing a shirt with Metallica on it. I love that band. Have you been to any of their concerts? Bada boom, conversation started. This leads me right to the next lesson, which is that companionship can come in all shapes and sizes, colors, and ages. I think we've been low-key brainwashed from movies and TV shows like Friends or The Summer I Turned Pretty, where we've been given a very clear picture that friends are people who are the same age as us and we go to parties and on vacation with them. When in reality, you can create bonds with people double your age, people from cultures wildly different than yours, people you meet online who live in different countries. Also, speaking of people you meet online, you should hit subscribe so you can be part of this community. In fact, a little story time. Last week, I was at this coffee shop. There was limited seating, and I was sitting at this table sipping my coffee before work, and this older lady, maybe she was in her like 70s or maybe even 80s, she asked me if she could sit down across from me, and she was like, hey, how's your day going? And I was a little surprised because most people don't talk like that at coffee shops. But I was like, oh, yeah, it's going well. I'm just about to go into work. And she was like, oh, what do you do? Blah. And we ended up having like a great 15-minute conversation. And I felt a better connection with her that week than I did with most people. My next lesson slash advice is even if you struggle with approaching a stranger or making a friend, you should go to places and events that gather people with similar interests. Let me explain. For example, there's a bar near me that has Love Island watch parties, and a bunch of people go by themselves and then just organically meet someone who has a deep shared interest in that TV show. In fact, a couple of years ago, I went to this bar that was hosting a trivia night for the show Friends, and there was a girl who just happened to be sitting across the table from me, and we began talking, and I'm still friends with her till this day. So position yourself, put yourself in places where those kinds of bonds can organically happen. The next valuable lesson I learned about companionship is you need to examine your current circle. If you have surface level acquaintances and friends that you like, you should consider trying to invest in them. There's this quote about friendships I like that says, everyone wants a village, but no one wants to be a villager. You have free will. You can initiate plans with your barista or a coworker. You can offer to help someone move or drive them to the airport. And when you put yourself out there first like that, it's often reciprocated. But if you are trying this and you feel like it's not reciprocated, then consider adjusting the people you're hanging out with. Sometimes you have to let go of people that don't align with you so you can actually make space for people that do. Because hanging out with people who don't reciprocate or friends who you don't feel connected to can actually drain you and make you feel worse. So either let go or limit those relationships that keep you in shallow patterns. And that kind of brings me to my next lesson, which is work on yourself. Because you can only connect with others as deeply as you've connected with yourself. True connection isn't just grabbing drinks with friends. It's the real stuff. It's the messy stuff. It's heartbreak and grief and loss and dreams and experiences. And for that to happen, you need to be vulnerable with yourself. When I was younger and didn't really know myself, my friendships stayed surface level. I craved depth, but I wasn't showing up in a way that supported that. I would be just going to the clubs and bars with friends and wondering why I was walking away from those interactions feeling empty. It's kind of like swimming. I'm not a great swimmer, so you can catch me splashing around in the shallow end. But guess who's next to me? Other people who aren't great swimmers. If I want friends in the deep end, I have to learn to swim in the deep end. Like if you don't want shallow friendships, you can't be a shallow. You have to know yourself, know what your hobbies are, know what you stand up for, know what you stand against. Some practical ways to do this is spend 5 minutes journaling with prompts like, this week I felt truly alive when blank. Something I've been avoiding is blank. And another practical, actionable tip you can do today is make a list of topics you've been avoiding sharing with people. This can be dreams that you have or just embarrassing moments or insecurities. And ask yourself why you're keeping it to yourself. Are you afraid of people judging you? And how would it feel if you did share it? For example, last week I was like super depressed. My room was a disaster. I hadn't showered. And that's kind of embarrassing to admit. And my friends called me and I picked up the phone and I was like, not gonna tell her anything. But I did. And she was actually like, girl, same. And then we vented for 30 minutes about The struggles of adulting. Another example is I'm often nervous to tell people about my dream of being a full-time content creator. But when I have shared it, I would say 9 times out of 10, I get excitement, support, a subscriber, people who are cheering me on or who are ready to workshop ideas with me. I think you'd be surprised at how much sharing those vulnerable parts of yourself often won't push people away, but will actually strengthen a bond. Because I know a lot of people who think loneliness is like proof that they're a misfit, that you don't belong, that there's something wrong with you. But it's not. It's actually proof that you're ready to evolve, explore new passions, and create new connections that align with this current version of you. Loneliness often feels like you took a wrong turn. You're off track and you feel lost, but it's actually just your GPS recalculating, like a signal guiding you to a better route, to the places and people that truly fit you. That was a lot of talking, so let's summarize those lessons. It's not about the number of friends, it's about the depth of the connection. Companionship does not have to look the traditional way with people your age who do the traditional things. Tiny daily moments of connection and interactions with even strangers or a neighbor can really add up. If you want a village, you have to be a villager yourself. Initiate hanging out, offer to help someone, plan an event, and lastly, go deeper with yourself and you will attract depth in relationships. And speaking of relationships and community, if you want to be a part of this one and support me, consider subscribing. We have very honest conversations about mindset, money, relationships, and just navigating adulthood. Thanks for watching and keep growing. I'm rooting for you.